for your inspiring words. It has certainly directed the focus of our students to the experiences of women in legal profession and motivated them to move head on. I would request Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor R.L. Hangru sir to initiate the new academic session 2019 with his speech and motivate us to further our performance.
Shri Chetan Mehrotra ji and their entire family, the chairperson of the governing body and the former principal Srimati Asha Seth ji, the principal of the college Professor Lalima Singh, the great vision behind this college, in fact, in most recent times I would say, Honorable Justice Professor Khanna ji is here, our teaching staff of the college, my colleagues from university and various other colleges, dear students. In fact, it's very difficult to say anything when there are a lot of legal luminaries, present here. This is one of our best colleges, I would say, in the state. Because we don't get complaints from here. We have wonderful reports of projects and excellence being run in this college, and the girl students particularly doing absolutely well. As a Kashmiri, I have something proud to say, that the first person who brought law into India was basically Pandit Shambhunath, who went to London in 17th century and early 18th century, established the system in Kolkata. Most of our friends from judiciary must be knowing, if they want to visit any of the former Supreme Court judges, they're all located in Calcutta and Shambhunath Lane. He was the first person. But law has its own history. In recent past, we find things have changed drastically in every profession. And so it has happened in law also. I am sometimes dismayed when I see two advocates studying, then going to practice in a court. One goes to the highest pinnacle. The other person goes back home with 2 bananas in a black polythene and little money every evening. I have seen that. Because in my family also, my grandfather was a leading advocate. One of my uncles died as Minister of Law in J&K, P.L. Hundu, the only Hindu minister in recent times, I would say. So I have seen something happening in this profession. Because there are two things. We say juris and prudence. The advocate who goes to the top is studying jurisprudence, both law and the knowledge that surrounds it. But the advocates who do not really emerge from their basics in the field, they study only juris, not prudence. Therefore, dear students, when you study law, I wouldn't say you go to constitutional history from 1861, 1892, 1909, or 1990, 1935, limit there only. No. I would say that you all go and study Vedas first. If you cannot study Vedas, study the commentary of Vedas by Pandurang Vaman Kane, History of Dharma Shastras. When I say history of Dharma Shastras, I am not from any political party here, more so from BJP or any other. Because if you look at Vedas, I can assure you, all the 56 times in Rig Veda, when we use Dharma, Dharma is used for duty. Dharma is used for your work. That's why I often say that in the first page of Rig Veda, first or second, that there is Savlampayampas Dharmasthayate Mehtobaya. That it is Dharma, your duty, which will answer all questions, all problems of your life. So therefore, you must have a comprehensive study of P.V. Kane's book, and then study Indian history, particularly by D.D. Goswami, Ancient Indian History and Culture. So that first of all, you know the society, from where Indian society has traveled. You know, today what we see is crime was not crime in ancient times. The greatest thing that advocate does is to make a differentiation between discrimination and righteousness. I personally feel, as a historian, the job of the judiciary is to differentiate between the righteousness and discrimination. But what is happening when a young advocate, not all, some of them when they go to judiciary, they are influenced by greed. I have also seen, if you ask some of the advocates who get misled by greed, that can you prove in court that these raindrops are the milk drops of sparrow? He will say, yes, I can do that. But that's not the job of advocate. To justify untruth is not the job of advocate. To strengthen truthfulness is the job of advocate. You see, today we are suffering. I don't find south of India or northwest of India has as much of crisis as we have in Indo-Gangetic Plain. It's the Indo-Gangetic Plain which has the largest wetland area in the world, but also the largest problem. It is this area where the largest populate growth takes place. And if we look for solution to the problems of India in mainland, which can spread to whole of India, the solution lies in rule of law. If we establish rule of law, our health sector can be taken care of, our education can be taken care of. UP can feed almost half the world's population, not India's population. UP, Bihar and Punjab has the capacity to feed almost half the world's population. But there is no rule of law, therefore people migrate from place to place to place to place. I was sharing with our chief doctor the other day. I found a person selling maize butta in Jammu. I said, where from you are? He said, sir, from Agra. I said, why did you come here, from Agra, traveling with these small children? And he said, sir, वहाँ संस्कार नहीं है यूपी में. I said, what is संस्कार? He said, sir, मैं दलित हूँ, वहाँ मेरा मेज बूटा कोई खरीदेगा नहीं. If they come to know that I am a Dalit, they will not purchase this maize butta from me. If we are not in a position to fix caste system in the country, if we are not in a position to fix rule of law in the country will not go ahead. It won't develop. You look at the history from Vedic times. Look at the history during Buddhist period. Ashtanga Marga was our main code at that point of time. Then with the Vedas we find number of sutras, samhitas coming up, which became part of the legal system at that point of time. There was no privatization of land at one point of time. There was no privatization of women at that point of time. Therefore, there was no crime against women at that point of time. I tell you, very interesting thing, not that corruption was not there, it was there. From day one in Indian history, we have examples of corruption. I can give you one of the best examples in a village, where a peasant goes off from the village for some time and sells his plot of land, but does not sell pond and house. When he comes back, he discovers that his pond and house is also occupied by the person whom he had sold his land. We were trying as historians to look how old is our right to sell and right to mortgage. And we find in 4th century AD that when he comes back, he goes to the legal body to settle his dispute. The Pattopadhyaya goes with the document and says that please look at the document. Because it was earlier written in Sanskrit excluding Rahitam. And the Pattopadhyaya had made Ra into half Sa during this period of time. They transferred the entire property and made it Sahitam including. And this Rahitam and Sahitam is happening today also. We have interesting development of judicial system. Even though we were much knowledgeable, philosophical than other civilizations from Assyria, Mesopotamia and others, but it were the Greeks who initially started evolving the law. If I remember correctly, by 449 we have references to familiares, a kind of knowledge system being evolved in Greece, Rome, and these familiares we find were kept by the priestess. The priestess would not tell the rest what is good and what is bad, what's the kind of judgment that we are giving. So therefore, studying history, trying to know our country fully, trying to know the nuances, as Honorable Justice Sunita Agarwalji was saying, trying to know the nuances of the Indian society is very essential. I tell you, you go to interior of Mizoram, beyond Aizawl town, go beyond Dimapur in Nagaland, our Indian judicial system and Supreme Court does not work at all. It is the village law that works, it is the tribal law that works. They don't allow you to interfere, even your DM cannot do anything. But there is wonderful rule of law in those areas. Therefore, if you really want to strengthen this country, because the basic aim of this course is not simply to empower women, get a job after doing law. The aim of this is to free our society from the crisis that we are in today. To increase the space of rule of law in this country that can envelop more and more areas in this country. Therefore, keep track of this entire country. I would really request the Principal and Honorable Justice Tandon Sahab here that every year they should be really given the tour of some of the areas, interiors of India, to see how law prevails in those areas, how judicial administration works in those areas, and then brought into college to debate these issues and write about these issues, in fact, more importantly. Consolidate it into reports and provide those to the judiciary. I have seen worse things happening in due respect to judiciary. When I joined Allahabad University, I found a lady came and filed a case that I was a temporary lecturer for 3 weeks. Give me 70 lakhs of rupees. And this case traveled between the court and Allahabad University, I think 5 times. Finally, I said, send it to Supreme Court. Just to give me 70 lakhs of rupees. And if we make the payment or we don't make the payment, the vice chancellor will be pulled by everybody. Because the problem is, as I started from the beginning, I said we study only juris, we don't study prudence. You study jurisprudence, but alongside that, please also study history. History of your country, history of the community of Indians, and then proceed in your profession. I wish you all the best. Thank you. Law that works, it is the tribal law that works. They don't allow you to interfere, even your DM cannot do anything. But there is wonderful rule of law in those areas. Therefore, if you really want to strengthen this country, because the basic aim of this course is not simply to empower women, get a job after doing law. The aim of this is to free our society from the crisis that we are in today. To increase the space of rule of law in this country that can envelop more and more areas in this country. Therefore, keep track of this entire country. I would really request the Principal and Honorable Justice Tandon Sahab here that every year they should be really given the tour of some of the areas, interiors of India, to see how law prevails in those areas, how judicial administration works in those areas, and then brought into college to debate these issues and write about these issues, in fact, more important. Consolidate it into reports and provide those to the judiciary. I have seen worse things happening in due respect to judiciary. When I joined Allahabad University, I found a lady came and filed a case that I was a temporary lecturer for 3 weeks. Give me 70 lakhs of rupees. And this case traveled between the court and Allahabad University, I think 5 times. Finally, I said, send it to Supreme Court. Just to give me 70 lakhs of rupees. And if we make the payment or we don't make the payment, the vice chancellor will be pulled by everybody. Because the problem is, as I started from the beginning, I said we study only juris, we don't study prudence. You study jurisprudence, but alongside that, please also study history. History of your country, history of the community of Indians, and then proceed